All right, so on your sheet of paper, your warm-up is to brainstorm. If you could make any sculpture you wanted, what would it be?
Within your ability range?
No, if you could develop any ability, what would you want to make? If you could develop any level of talent or skill or technique. Yeah, make a little list. This is just a brainstorming list.
Hey.
So if you had no time limit, if you could use any materials or any technique or any process, what would you like to make? So where does inspiration come from? Do you remember the very first day of class?
No.
In August? Seems like forever ago, right? Do you remember watching the TED Talk from this artist? Okay. Yeah. Does anyone remember her name? I'm going to be really impressed if you do.
Barbara Hepworth.
No. But that's from Ceramics 1. Anybody? Wild guesses? Her name was Janet Eichelman. Right, we watched her TED Talk. It was called Taking Imagination Seriously. And in her speech, she talked about her sources of inspiration that led her to create these awe-inspiring sculptures the size of buildings. Do you remember what the very first piece of inspiration for her was?
A fishing net.
A fishing net. Right? She was walking along the beach and she saw these fishermen fixing their nets, and she got inspired. Then at the start of this semester, we did the abstract carving. Do you remember? It was just a one-day project.
I remember.
Yeah.
I know, but do you remember what the inspiration was?
Emotion.
Yes, yeah, emotion. Right? How do you visually, in an abstract way, use just form and texture and color to express an emotion? So there's all kinds of different sources of inspiration. So far, I've pretty much been giving you that source of inspiration, right, as a springboard for your creativity. But I think now you're ready to start exploring your own sources of creativity and developing your own strategies for how you're going to express your ideas in your sculptures. But that can feel like a pretty big jump, right? If I just handed you a lump of clay and said, make something, that can be kind of, what am I going to make, a pinch pot, right? That can be really difficult. So let's back up just a little bit. Let's go back to Janet Eichelman. Think about the question, what kind of skills and strategies do artists use to explore and express their idea? What skills did Janet use? The wind, okay, that was an element that she considered. Brooke, what'd you say?
Oh, I don't know. She said weaving.
Weaving, that's what I thought you said. Yeah, she had to explore the material, right? When we look at the artwork, a lot of times we're looking at the masterpiece, the really inspiring, finished piece made by an influential artist, right? We appreciate their techniques, their materials, their process, their ideas, or we just say, hey, that looks really cool. But the key to creativity isn't finding an artist you like and copying them, right? That's not actually being very creative. That's the opposite of creativity. We want to learn from other artists and see what inspired them. Right? So when we look at that finished sculpture, we're seeing the results of lots of different layers and iterations of ideas. So it's really quite a journey. That doesn't happen overnight. So how do we learn from and take inspiration from great artworks if we can't just copy them, right? Because we haven't gone through that process. But we can kind of reverse engineer, right? We're looking backwards at the process. We're seeing the finished work and then saying, how did they get there? And how can I learn from that? All right, so write down these things. Specifically, we look at 5 areas: subject matter, process, medium, context, and concept.